Hey everyone, this week I'm going to be running through my top 10 favourite images of 2022. So Happy New Year everyone, welcome to 2023. I hope you're having a great time. 2022 was a great year for photography, certainly better than 2021 when we had all of those restrictive lockdowns and we couldn't get out anywhere. And definitely a highlight for me was getting over to California, Yosemite and San Francisco and things. And I got some great shots there, and a couple are going to feature in this top 10. I haven't done anything scientific to choose these, it's mainly my personal preference. So we'll jump in and have a look at what I think are my top 10 images of 2022. So first up we've got this one. This was captured at Lancet Woods on the edge of the Peak District. I'd gone there to do some ICM photography. As you can tell, it's an ICM image, that's intentional camera movement. So moving the camera as you take the exposure to create that blurriness, and it gives it a really nice textured, painterly feel. So I've not really had much experience with this at the time, and I was really pleased with how this came out. I think the composition's quite nice, even though it's quite complex, there's a lot of trees there. They are quite nicely spaced, and that works quite well. And I was quite fortunate to get some really nice light coming in from the side, illuminating those trunks, and that just really added some nice definition and made the trees really stand out from the background. So yeah, I was quite pleased with how that came out. Next up is this one. This was at Winnett's Pass. I went there for a sunrise shot, and I was quite fortunate to get a really nice morning, some great light, and we had all of this fog or mist rolling over the hills in the distance. And we've got the cement factory there on the right. It's quite a prominent feature in the Hope Valley there. Makes its way into lots of different shots that I've seen from throughout the Peak District and the Hope Valley area. But it is a really nice focal point. And with the added atmosphere from all that fog and the light shining through it, I think it works quite well. So it's mainly about the layers in this for me. As the hills and the trees progress into the distance, all those layers with the mist and the light. So yeah, I came back that morning and I was quite happy with that shot. Another one in the Peak District, not too far away. This is at Derwin Edge, so not far from Lady Bower. And I believe this was at sunset, so I'd gone up for a little walk up there to capture a sunset shot. And there was some really nice light, some nice clouds in the sky, just to add a little bit of interest. You don't want a flat sky, so it was good that we had some cloud cover. And I was quite happy with the composition. The rock down there in the bottom right anchors the shot. Your eyes led up through the scene with the water up to the highlight. Your eyes always drawn to the brightest part of the image, which is the sun. So you've got that leading line up to the sun, and then your eye wanders back around the picture with the rock anchoring the shot down there in the bottom right. So yeah, again, quite happy with that one. Obviously it's in my top 10, so I'm happy with all of these, but that was one of my highlights of the year, definitely. So sticking with the theme, still in the Peak District, this was at Higator when all of the heather was out, a little after the end of summer. So you get all this great, amazing purple heather, and I'd gone there for a sunset shot. So it was just about finding a nice composition, and again we've got a large rock in the bottom corner, just like the last one. I think that helps to anchor the shot. We've got the sun in the top right, and then with that rock in the bottom left, that creates a nice balance with the line of heather kind of breaking up the shot in between. One of the problems with sunset and the heather is that the golden orange of the sun kind of changes the colour of the heather. You've got that bluey purple of the heather, and the orange yellow of the sunlight interferes with that. So it's hard to balance the colours well, but I think I got away with it. There's still some nice blues and purples in there, and yeah, it's just a great location, and I'll definitely be back in the Peak District later this year when the heather's out again. So moving a little bit further afield, this is in San Francisco when I was there on holiday in August. And this is in Chinatown, and there was an event going on a festival, and this was a choreographed performance in the middle of the street, and I was doing a bit of street photography with the 28mm Nikkor Z lens, and I was trying to find a good shot of these people performing this routine, and it wasn't until I got quite low looking up that it really worked. You've got those lanterns spanning between the two buildings, well, the two sides of the buildings there on either side of the street, so that gives a little bit of interest in the top part of the image. Just gives a more dynamic feel to the image looking up at the people, and I was quite lucky that right at that moment when I crouched down, they all kind of turned towards me in this position, and they just formed a kind of an alleyway, so it just gives a leading line towards the back of the image and pulls you into the image and adds a bit of depth. So that was definitely my best street shot on that day when I was in San Francisco. Again, in San Francisco, quite obviously this is the Golden Gate Bridge. I got lots of shots of the bridge, some at sunrise, some at sunset, and a lot of them just turned out, you know, the typical shots of Golden Gate Bridge that you see a million times. So I've put this one in because it's just a little bit different. The fog that rolls in over the bridge at times is quite iconic, so I wanted to capture that. I was quite lucky that we got some of that evening, and I made it black and white, and it's just really moody. I like the atmosphere, so I felt that was just a little bit different to the typical Golden Gate Bridge shot, and was quite pleased with how that came out. This is in Yosemite. We'd gone for a walk to Mirror Lake, which wasn't there because the weather was so dry. It was actually dried up, but it was a great walk to and from the lake, and on the way we saw this woodpecker, and it's a bird I've not got a shot of before, so that was quite good, and I was really pleased with the sharpness of the shot. I was using my 24 to 200mm lens, and yeah, I'm at the 200mm end, f6.3, but it came out so sharp. I was able to get quite close because it was quite calm, didn't fly away, or it wasn't really disturbed by me being there. Probably not the most exciting bird shot ever, but because I'd never got a shot of this bird before and it came out so well, I've included that one. So I spent quite a lot of time at Wyoming Brook last year in autumn. It's a fantastic area. You've got all these great colours. You've got the water there. You've got the fallen leaves creating this carpet of orange and golden yellow colours. But you've still got some greens there and the canopy with some yellows and oranges in. And you've also got these blue colours from the rocks. So it's a very rich and colourful area. And we had a little bit of fog that day. So it's really creating that depth in the image. As the image recedes into the distance, you've got that washed out, slightly hazy look in the background, which really helps to add some depth to the image. And it also stops it being so chaotic. When you wash out some of those textures and details in the background, it helps some of the foreground detail to pop out. And I took a long exposure just to get that softness in the water, a bit of movement. And overall, very happy with how that turned out. So this one, obviously, I was doing some macro shots. Got this great little mushroom, it's absolutely tiny. And I was quite pleased to be able to get such a nice shot of this, given it was so small. The depth of field was a little bit tricky to get right. You see it's still a little bit soft around the back edges there at the back of the mushroom. But the front's in focus, and I think there's just enough of it in focus to make the image work. I really like the bokeh in the background. I was using a light to illuminate the scene, and that's just helped create these really nice bokeh balls in the background there, and you've got the nice darkness of the surrounding area, but the foliage in the background is really lit up there. And the mushroom is quite intact, looks quite nice. Sometimes if you get the mushrooms with little bits bitten out of them, things that don't look as good, but this one was quite clean and intact. So yeah, really like that one. And finally we've got this one. So I didn't make a video when I captured this, but I wanted to include it anyway because I really like this image. And I did this with my local photography group, Barnsley Photographic Society, and we were doing a practical evening where we were capturing portraits, and it's something I've not done much. I said at the start of the year I wanted to do some portraits, and it took me all the way until the end of the year to get this done. I like the pose, the model was great, it had this really dramatic look with his eyes, and obviously this is trying to emulate Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. So yeah, quite like the pose, the lighting and the sharpness and quality of the image, and portraits are something I want to do more of, so it was great, and that's the reason I included this one. So that's my top 10. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the images in the comments below. So I'm looking ahead now to the rest of the year. I want to do a little bit more birds and wildlife this year. I think I could have done more in 2022 than I did. I'm going to do some more portraits if possible, and also I said last year that I wanted to do some astrophotography and I never did, so I do want to really try and squeeze some of that in at some point this year. But I hope you're having a great day, have a great year as well, and I'll see you for some of the videos coming up. Thanks a lot everyone, and bye for now.